How do I cope with bipolar as a single mom? That is a really great question, actually. Well, let's add in there I also have PTSD and a drug use disorder, which I didn't even know was a disability, like addiction. I've been sober since 2019. I don't consider pot not being sober, but I don't smoke the marijuana anymore because I found out that it changes the molecular structure of it when you put fire to the marijuana. And in order to retain its medicinal benefits, you really need to drink it or turn it into a salve. So that's dead. But I do use dab carts every now and then, like the CBD oil stuff. I do use those for daily maintenance, which one day I'm going to actually get off of using those because I have asthma and I don't want to keep using them. I just needed to keep it 100 about that part. But as far as synthetic drugs, I mean, not even a Tylenol. Can't do it. The first thing I did was get into therapy. I did trauma therapy first, which was very, very intense, but I'm glad I did it. And then I have regular maintenance every other week talk therapy. That's really helpful because I'm around teenagers 24 hours a day. And I need input from someone who doesn't have a vested interest outside of just helping me. So it's very helpful to bounce ideas off of someone who's an adult, who is a professional, who understands how the psychology works and can not necessarily give me advice, but help me look at things differently. That's very useful because I should have a whole community of elders around me. But since I don't have that, I seek out information on my own. So that was definitely helpful for me, therapy. Another thing was isolation. This was a two-pronged attack. I cut everybody off. Everybody. That idea was implanted in me when I went to rehab. But when I got out of rehab, I really saw that, I definitely had to cut everybody else off. Because I was doing such deep work on myself, I was changing constantly. And I didn't have the time or the energy to explain myself or keep up with relationships. I don't want to be responsible for other people's feelings. And it's too much. And I had to find myself before I put any more energy into other relationships. So isolation was definitely necessary. I don't go out. I don't have a social life. I'm primarily spending all my time with myself. I spend time with my kids. We hang out, but we're all doing deep spiritual work in this house. And, we're learning mastering our own crafts. And that takes a lot of work hours. I mean, we spend so much time doing research and journaling and finding out who we really are without the outside input. The outside noise always telling you who you should be and who you are, and you need to stop being so loud and you should adapt these ideas. No, you shouldn't. No, you don't. You need to stay by yourself and figure out your own shit and stop listening to people, is what I told myself. And so that's what I did. And it's been immensely helpful. I don't have time to socialize. I'm trying to heal from my wounds. And unless I'm independently wealthy, what am I celebrating? What are we going out for? No. I don't want anybody else cooking my food. I don't like being around crowds. I stay at home to myself, minding my own business, waiting for the storm to pass. It feels like it's a big old spiritual war going on outside. And I stay in the house and mind my business. So after I did that, I made my home my own little world, my own little recovery center. My home is exactly the way I want it. It's comfortable. It works for me. I made this little safe space where I don't need to leave. I structured my life in a way where everything gets taken care of without me having to leave my house, except for washing my laundry. I don't have my own laundry. I don't like the laundry in my building, so I do go somewhere once a month to do our laundry. But other than that, I don't have to leave my house, and I like that. And it won't be like that forever, but for right now, I'm just going to take this time to inhabit my own inner world. So I made sure that my surroundings, my environment is always very clean and always very calm, which is not easy when you have teenagers, but that's what gets me to my next point. Talking to your family about your mental health. It's imperative. You cannot live with people that don't know what's going on in your head. You're going to be triggered all the time, snapping at them, and they don't understand why you're talking to them crazy. It helps if you allow your family some kind of understanding of what you're going through. You never really know whether or not they might be going through the same thing. Setting healthy boundaries. I set boundaries in every relationship, even if it's someone over the phone. I'm not going to tolerate people talking to me crazy or putting too much on my plate. And so just setting healthy boundaries and sticking to them. If you don't feel like doing something, you're not under any obligation to do it. Just because someone calls your phone does not mean you need to answer it. If someone knocks on the door, you are not under any obligation to answer it. And if someone wants to engage in a conversation that you don't feel like having, you don't have to engage in that conversation. You don't have to allow people access to you. You need to honor that. Sometimes when you're triggered, it's simply because you don't want to be engaged in the activity that you're engaged in. And believe it or not, you do have the power to make your life look the way you want it to look. You know, you have the freedom to do that. If you don't like your job, you can change it. If you don't like working, you don't have to. I mean, I don't understand. There's like a disconnect here. You are a free human being. You can do what you want. Maybe you're not doing what you want because of how you think it looks to other people. But and people don't care. They have opinions, but they really don't care about what you're doing. They just want something to say about it. Do what you want. Research. Oh my gosh. I never stopped learning about my mental health condition. I never stopped learning about the human condition, society, the world. You know, I love philosophy, psychology, astronomy, astrology. All of these things help me understand myself and understand the world. I seek to understand God, creation, all of that, all of it. And when you are on a quest for knowledge, nothing else really matters. The outside world doesn't matter. Social media doesn't matter. What people think of you does not matter. It doesn't matter because these are the existential issues that we all have. You either run from the answers or you run towards them. Or you can just sit still and figure it out. But either way, I like to enrich myself with information. And I find that I eat less and I take in less media when I'm being fulfilled in this way. So reading, learning, and it just, I don't know, it helps me mentally. Being full of new information gives me hope. Because sometimes we operate off of old information. Get you some new information, you might find some hope there. There's always a solution. Einstein said that he was no more intelligent than the next man. He just sits with problems till he finds solutions. That's all. Don't ever stop looking for a solution. There's a solution to every problem. I figured that out too. I had to change my mindset. I had to understand that I have a mental health condition, but that doesn't mean I have to be that way for the rest of my life. And it doesn't mean I have to take a pill to deal with the side effects of it. I can heal myself, but it's going to take time and extreme action. I think it's pretty extreme to cut everybody off in your life, but it's also necessary because low vibrational beings are going to bring your frequency down. So if everybody ain't caught up to you yet, you're going to have to cut them off. You know what I'm saying? The path to enlightenment is narrow, ASF, because it's challenging and people don't like to do hard work. But once it's done, yo. Once you enlightened, you enlightened. You know what I'm saying? Journaling. I write down everything. How I feel, what I see, everything. New recipes, new goals. It's part of manifesting. And I find that when I write something down, not only does it happen, but I remember what I wrote. So when I learn new things, I like to write it down. I'm a whole ass scribe, for real. I would be all over the place if I didn't journal as much as I did. I love to write. It helps me. It gets a lot of emotions out because a lot of the people that have hurt me are dead. So it helps that I can express myself on that paper. Audibly expressing yourself is different than writing. Like, I need that expression of energy on every level. Feel me? I take time for myself. I take a lot of time for myself. I have to put myself first because I'm always so accessible and so no, I'll do this for you, I'll do that for you. I'm learning to say no, and I'm learning to tell myself to say no. So I'm not just saying no to no, I'm not going to do this, you need to do it for yourself, and learning how to delegate, especially with my teens. There's no more, oh, I'll just do it. No, you need to do it, and that's really good for me. Delegating house chores to my teens instead of doing so much on my own has really helped my mental health a lot, like so much. You have no idea, because I felt so overwhelmed, and I would get mad at them like, why don't you step in? But it's like, who's gonna volunteer to do stuff if you volunteering to do it all the time? Like, nobody said you had to do everything all the time. You just chose to do everything all the time. So once I realized that and started delegating, they didn't even care. It's just ridiculous. I could have been doing that. Being honest with yourself and others. I had to be honest about what I like, what I don't like, and how I am. I'm loud. I know that. I am irky about the house being clean. I know that. You know what I mean? I get easily triggered when I'm around loud noises. Like, if you know these things about yourself, then you can stop putting the pressure on other people to change, and you can start to kind of manipulate your environment and fix it yourself. That's all I can think of right now. I mean, that's enough. Setting boundaries, isolation, being honest about what you're going through, taking time for yourself, building a deep connection with your higher power. These are all things that help me with my mental health. If I didn't have any faith, I'll be a dead person, because I completely rely on the universe, my ancestors, God, everything. You know, the male and female aspect of God. Like, all these deities and stuff, they're just energies that help me, you know, aspects like Isis. She helps me have she helps me have perfect speech, you know, to say what I actually mean and to say it correctly and to speak from the heart, you know. Set helps me be strong, you know. She's a healing energy, and she's that warrior energy that I need. So I'm grateful for my spirituality. I'm grateful for a working brain. I'm grateful for you, that we are building a community together, that we can support each other. Because I don't want you to ever feel alone, because you are so not alone. Thank you for spending time with me in Fury World. I will see you in the next video. I love you.